Good afternoon, everyone. This is Friday, so that means this is your sports show coming to you from the home office here. Um, Want to remind you that we're available by email. I'm going to be getting some other functions up here soon, but let us know through the comments or through email what you want to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about several things. One, we're going to talk about the Steelers. Lots of stuff going on with Steelers right now. They're getting ready to make some space for possibly some free agents coming on board. As free agent period starts on Monday, but there is stuff going on right now. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the Jake Gensel trade. Um, it's one of those we won't know what the trade value is for a little while yet, but it's looking decent. Like we've got a decent haul for him, but certainly we will miss Jake Gensel. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Pitt's possibilities to get into the NCAA tournament. That's a big thing in the city of Pittsburgh right now as well. And coming up probably next week, we'll have the Pirate Preview show. Our Pirate Preview show. I'm gonna try to figure out how many wins we're gonna have this year. I'm gonna tell you how many wins we're gonna have. I'm gonna tell you if we're gonna have any All Stars. I'm gonna tell you if we have a shot in the NL Central. So stay tuned next week for the Pirate Preview special. Well, let's kick it off today. Yesterday, Jerry Dulac in the Pittsburgh Post Gazette wrote an put out a tweet. I should say the article is forthcoming. I haven't seen the article yet. That Russell Wilson is going to be meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe, if I looked on the internet correctly, the Russell Wilson is meeting with the Steelers today, and there is mutual interest in the two sides. It was just a week or two ago that there were reports coming out of Pittsburgh that said that they weren't interested in a free agent quarterback or any of the big names that are out there. That they weren't in the Justin Fields sweepstakes. They weren't in the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes. They weren't interested in any of that. Baker Mayfield, none of those. But here we are, just a couple weeks later, and now Jerry Dulac from the Post Gazette, who is known as a Steelers insider, is now reporting that there is mutual interest between Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers to bring him in. And Russell Wilson has already come out and said that he has interest in signing with Pittsburgh. Now, what does this mean? Let's say it does happen, because right now, if there's mutual interest, I mean, these two sides know each other. You can't be in the NFL in this capacity and not at least know each other and know if you have interest, it means that you've studied it and you know that you'd like to work it out. Russell Wilson will sign for the vet minimum one point. I think it's $1.21 million. Why will he sign for that? Well, of course, he's getting $39 million from the Denver Broncos. At this point, the relationship between Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos is so strained and so negative that I believe Wilson and his agents will stick it to them for as much as they can for everything that he's gone through. So Russell Wilson would come in at the vet minimum 1.2. Let's say he even comes in at 2 or 3 million, just to make the if it would make the players union happy. The price that you would get for a Mason Rudolph is 2 years, $10 million. That's $5 million a year. Better option. Russell Wilson is a better option. Now, who would be the starter? You're going to put Russell Wilson as a starter? You're going to put Kenny Pickett in as a starter? I think there's going to be a true quarterback battle in camp. I fully expect Russell Wilson to win that battle. But I think it's a win, win, win all the way around. The Steelers are going to get a quarterback that is coming into a system where we have been told the system is a very quarterback-friendly system. That increases how long Russ can go. He's coming into a team with a good offensive line, a better offensive line. He's coming into a team with a good defense, good weapons. he doesn't have to do everything. He just has to accent what's already here. And you get a guy with a chip on his shoulder that has something to prove. That's from the Steelers' perspective. That's good. Russell's perspective. I think Russell Wilson's perspective is this: I want to go to an organization that's solid, that has a coach that I believe in, that has weapons, where I don't have to do everything. I can be a piece in the puzzle, and it's just a more solid situation. So you say, okay, well, what's the win for Kenny Pickett? Well, Kenny Pickett, who has been struggling. I love Kenny Pickett. I do. Big fan. But he has been struggling. And he was on the border of it's time to go. So you bring in Russ. Russ wins the job from Kenny. Kenny and Russ have a core of very similar skill sets. They're in two different places in their career now. So that does create some difficulties as far as matching up. But I think Kenny will be able to learn from Russell Wilson. He'll be able to learn from Russell Wilson. He'll be able to sit back, sit in the meetings, watch him in practice. He will learn, and it will make him a better quarterback. So I don't think the Kenny Pickett experiment is over. I think it's on pause. So I think it's a win all the way around. I would not be surprised if we hear this weekend that Russell Wilson will be signed to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday, the first day of NFL free agency. Would not be surprised to see that. What I was surprised to see, let's move on with other Steeler news. Um, just released, just put out there not that long ago, the Steelers are parting ways with Patrick Peterson. Now, they're going to cut Patrick Peterson. I would not doubt Patrick Peterson will resign. But they weren't going to sign Patrick Peterson for the deal that he had, which I think was $14 million over 2 years. You're not going to sign him to $7 million a year if he is moving to the safety position. $7 million a year is cornerback money. It's not safety money. Not for where he's at in his career. Not for Patrick Peterson moving to safety. So he may resign. I would not doubt that. But this move is going to save the Steelers $7 million in cap money. They have already been making cuts here or there to move money around. Keanu Neal has been released. I think you're going to see the wide receiver room get a makeover this year. I think Allen Robinson. I don't know why that deal hasn't already been done, but I think they're going to release him. That's going to save them $10 million. And I wouldn't doubt that before the end of March or maybe draft day, but at least by draft day, I think Deontay Johnson will have a new home. I think we'll trade for draft picks or whatever, but I think he's going to be on the move. And why do I say that? Arthur Smith's offense is predicated on blocking wide receivers. Rewind it in your head. What was the one thing that Deontay Johnson didn't want to do? What was the one thing George Pickens didn't want to do? But I think he's big enough to do it. You just have to get him bought in. Deontay Johnson's a small wide receiver that doesn't want to block. That's not going to work in Arthur Smith's offense. So I think you're going to see Deontay Johnson on the move. So that's what's happening Steelers-wise right now. By the time we see each other next week, I expect Russell Wilson to be a Steeler. I would almost imagine Patrick Peterson to be signed to a reduced contract and come back to the Steelers. And there may be other moves happening. They're meeting with former Bills center, and the name's escaping me right now. But they're meeting with the former Bills center today. We all know that the Mason Cole has been released, so they have a big hole there. So they're going to be signing somebody. I really think we talked about centers in last week's show. If you want to see last week's show, just go on to the YouTube channel and go find last week's show. We did a whole center breakdown on last week's show. So go and see that. But there's a kid from West Virginia. I think they're going to sign second round. That's could be the could be the center of the Steelers line for many years. Um, but that's the Steeler news we have right now. So let's get into a little bit of Penguins news. A little bit of Penguins news. I'm going to try to do this quick. Um, Last night, Jake Gensel was traded. Today is the NHL deadline, so you're going to see some movement here. The Penguins are going to have some movement coming forward here. But let's talk the big trade. Jake Gensel going to the Carolina Hurricanes, along with Ty Smith, for Michael Bunting, conditional first and fifth round picks in 2024, and prospects Vela Koivunen, Vasily Ponomarev, and Cruz Lucius. Now, conditional draft picks. Conditional draft picks. You really have to study this part of it because the conditional draft picks are on the condition that Carolina makes the Stanley Cup final. If Carolina fails to make the Stanley Cup final, and this is coming from the score, I want to make sure I give them proper credit. So, according to the score, if Carolina fails to make the 2024 Stanley Cup final, Pittsburgh won't receive the first rounder. Instead, they'll get a second rounder. So they have to make the final to get that first rounder. So if you're a Penguins fans and you know we're not going to make the playoffs, you're rooting for the Hurricanes now. The So if the Hurricanes don't win the Stanley Cup, they have to win the Stanley Cup for us to get the fifth round pick. So that's pretty conditional. That is fairly conditional. Penguins are going to retain 25% of Gensel's salary. It's a $6 million salary, so that's $1.5 million. They're gonna retain. Let's talk about the prospects. Okay, prospects starting with Ponomarev. He's a 5'10" center, second round pick by the Hurricanes in the 2020 draft. 21-year-old Russian. He's registered 29 points in 39 games. He's in the AHL right now with the Chicago Wolves. So, he's moving his way up. Koivunen is a 6-foot forward that's playing in Finland right now for Karpat. He has 55 points in 57 contests. Represented Finland in the 2022 and 2023 juniors. So, Carolina selected him in the second round of 2021. So he's probably getting ready to make that climb to the NHL. The Smith that they received back, or Ty Smith, is the one who's going. Lucius is the one I want to touch on. He's in his sophomore year at the University of Wisconsin. He's 19 years old. 19. Penguins are getting younger. He has 31 points in 32 games for the Badgers. He's 6 foot. He was taken in the fourth round by the Canes in 2022. But his outlook, his trajectory, been rising ever since. So three solid prospects, trying to get younger. If you've seen my show before, in the last few weeks, I have been a proponent of tearing down the Penguins and starting over again. That means That means Malkin. It means it meant Gensel. It meant Letang. It even means Crosby. Um, Penguins are going to show their hand here. Coming across the waiver, coming across the wire. We just found out that I think Ruedel has been traded to the Rangers. So Ruedel to the Rangers is a thing. Let me see if I can find if there is details on that. Chad Ruedel to the New York Rangers for a 2027 fourth round pick. So Penguins big sellers here at the trade deadline. So Chad Ruedel is going to the Rangers. And that is all that we have right now. But trade deadline's not happening for a little while here yet. So, not for I believe it's 6 o'clock tonight. 6 o'clock tonight. So, got more stuff to happen, I'm sure. So that's where we're at with the Penguins. Um, Tough loss last night. I think it was an emotional drop because Gensel was scratched because this trade was afoot. And I think there was a sadness probably in the locker room, and the Pens dropped one 6-0 last night. So yeah, Penguins are not making the playoffs this year. Pitt basketball, real quick. They got the 20 wins. They're 20-10. So back-to-back 20-win seasons for Jeff Capel. They're trending in the right direction. I don't think they're going to make the NCAA tournament. I think they'll be one of the first four out, which means they'll be in the NIT this year. But they should make quite a bit of noise in the NIT, which I'll look forward to that. But that's where we're at for today. Want to wrap it up. Want to remind you, like and subscribe to the channel. It does nothing for anybody else but me. I like to see that people are enjoying the content. Want to see you in the comments. Talk about anything that I talked about today. Argue with me. Hopefully, at some point, we'll be able to add special guests to the equation. Maybe some of you listeners will be on as special guests, and we'll be able to talk some sports because this is, of course, your sports show. Your sports show. You right there at home, it's your sports show. We love you. Thank you. Have a great week. Have a great sports weekend, and we'll see you next week.